Welcome to this season of the Broadway Podcast, where here we give you a more real-time point of view of people who work, interact, and entertain here in Broadway, Nashville. We get the opportunity to provide hot gossip, but we also take the opportunity to provide a more positive outlook on people who call Nashville their home. Ride with us as we take you down a trip on Broadway.
This is the life we choose, life we choose. And honestly, I wouldn't want it any other way. I've been doing just fine, alright now. This is the life we choose. This is the life we choose.
This popular person downtown that everybody loves. I thrive to be you. Anyways,
It's cool.
but welcome to the show, man. What I want to talk about now in this time frame that we're in right now downtown is how do you feel about this past summer? Like, do you think it's a flop?
I don't think it's a flop. I think that Nashville's too oversaturated in general. I think that is the biggest thing that people are putting the blame on other bars. You know, it's like Morgan's is getting a lot of hate from bartenders downtown because they assume Morgan's opened and now other bars are slow. And it was like, well, no, there's like 4 other bars that opened. And the thing is, there's just not enough feet on the street to put asses in seats. And that's, you know, when we have these record-breaking weekends, of course we're making the money that we made 2 years ago because there's 900,000 people in town for Morgan or there's a million people in town for Taylor, whatever the case may be. That's the only way you fill all the bars up. And with this many bars being open and this many, you know, big names, it's just there's not enough tourism to fill the bars.
Yeah.
So everywhere suffers.
So why do you think that they continuously open? Because, like, to be honest, like, we all know working downtown, there's 2 mega companies that control half of Broadway. 100%. So, like, do you think they're still, I mean, obviously they're still making the same kind of money. Yeah. They wouldn't keep growing. But, like, from a bartender perspective, like, do you think that's hurting us, like, personally hurting us?
I think at the end of the day, when you get to a certain point of, you know, size, and this happened a lot with a restaurant group that I worked with previously where they were all about the people and all about the development and growth and, you know, promoting from within. And then once they hit a certain level, they plateaued where they stopped caring about the people and they started caring about the bottom line and the number. And I think at some point, any of these mega businesses, it inadvertently kind of has to happen. Yeah. Where it's like they still can care about the people, but when you get that big, there's so many people. How do you give care to everyone the same way that you did once upon a time? Yeah. So
I've noticed that, like, even the weekends are a lot different than it was the past couple of years as far as, like, people, like, on the streets. And, like, you just see all these people, like, just roaming around town. Also, we build mega bars, too, since then. And so, like, people are kind of, like, they have more options. I don't know. Like, for me, I want to say it's kind of a flop.
Yeah. I mean, I think when I try and compare it to is, like, I always look at, like, my first bartending job or, like, a serving job back in the day where it was, like, I made, like, 50 grand. Yeah. And so it's like, it's not that bad.
It's not that bad. It's definitely not that bad. But also,
like, in comparison to what we made before, yeah.
Absolutely. 100%. And then when you compare, like, say, for instance, how long have you been working downtown?
Pretty much since I lived here, so almost 5 years.
So 5 years you've been working downtown, and you've probably made, like, let's put it like a imaginary number on it. Like, we'll say, like, 70 grand, which is, you know, like, it's not the truth, but, like, we'll say that. Yeah. And then over time, you start to realize that 70 grand has whether gone up or down depending on the tourism and depending on, like, how busy it is on the weekend, your schedule, and all that stuff. So I think that for me, like, personally, I think that, like, it's a drastic change because the fact that we do have a lot of bars opening in Nashville, which is good for people that come into town. But in real time, like, it's kind of, like, affecting a lot of different
100%.
things to live, because living here is expensive, right? Like,
Oh, and it's only getting worse.
it's getting worse by the minute. And now we're making, some people are making less, some people are making the same, or some people are making more. It all depends, you know? And with all these bars opening up, I feel like I wanted to get like an inside scoop from people that work downtown, how they feel about it, you know?
Oh, 100%. My theory, and I've been telling people this for like the past couple of months, is 2 years from now, Nashville is just going to be Disney World. You know, it's nothing but artist bars.
Yeah.
I think the only like true, you know, you're gonna have your Roberts, you're gonna have your Laylas. You could have a full street full of nothing but artist bars, and Robert and Layla will be outside that front door. No chance. Like
Right.
they will forever be tried and true, and that's like something we have to give respect to those bars. And you know, but at the end of the day, it's all artists. You know, it's like you've got 10 more coming. I mean, 5 that I've heard of, and then you have like the question marks where it's like the whole world wants a Post Malone bar. Will we get it? Probably.
Yeah.
But we don't know. But you know, it's like Riley Green just opened one. Luke Combs is opening one. You know, Old Dominion, Co Wetzel, Kane Brown.
Yeah.
These are all names that are in the next 12 months gonna be opening doors. Like that's crazy.
Right. So with that being said, what do you think about the talent level? Like as far as like opening all these bars, like, cause we have great bartenders on Broadway for sure.
100%.
But when you start opening up all these bars and you start having all these venues opening, it spreads the wealth a little bit, and people
100%.
start getting like glossy eyes, like, oh, so-and-so's bar is opening up, I want to work there, especially if they're not very satisfied with what's going on in their own bar.
100%.
So how do you feel about that? Like as a bartender that's been downtown for 5+ years, if say for instance Post Malone did open a bar, would you be a
1000%. That would be the only bar or artist name that would immediately make me jump ship.
Yeah.
Not just because I think he's one of the biggest artists in the entire world, and financially it would be a super dumb decision to not try and go there.
Yeah.
I think it'd be the only bar that would be busier than Morgan's or busier than a Jason's, where it's, you know, it would just be it's like Barstool, where it's like it's a lifestyle brand.
Yeah.
Post Malone is a lifestyle brand. He is in so many different genres of music. He has touched so many fans' hearts. Meeting him as a person and seeing him on these podcasts and these interviews, like he's everything you want him to be.
He's perfect.
And he is like, and like you meet a lot of these artists, especially like we worked downtown for long enough that it's like you meet people and you love their songs and you meet them and you're like, they're kind of an asshole, and it ruins it for you. Post is the epitome of like the opposite of that.
Exactly. Smoking cigarettes on the couch.
100%.
Drinking
like,
whiskey straight on the ice.
And so it's like, for me, like that would be like not just for the financial side of it, but like because I want to work for him.
Right.
I think that would be, and plus it's like I'm covered in tattoos. I love his music. I have like a very similar like let's take care of everybody else kind of mentality. I think that would be the move for me. But other than that, I mean, I'm super happy where I'm at now. And I mean, I don't think any other artist bar, any other bar opening, there's obviously some big ones that have, you know, come down that we know about, but I don't know. I mean, I think with those mega bars, all you get is, especially with like some of the mega ones with, you know, certain names, is it's going to be a whole lot of, like you said, it's, you know, glossy eyed, you know,
it's just more politics. I feel like, but like Posty would be like a good bar, because like you would think that if he opened up a bar in Nashville, it would be similar to his personality.
100%.
Just like Morgan opened up a bar downtown, it's like, all right, it makes sense. Like that's Morgan for sure.
Well, and I think the thing is, if Post were to open a bar, it wouldn't matter what floor you're on. It wouldn't matter what shift you get. I think it would be busy 24/7. Like that's a bar people travel to go to.
Yeah, for
like,
sure.
Like with perfect example, the Taylor Swift concerts. I was working at Hampton Social at the time, and there were girls. I mean, obviously Nashville's the mecca of bachelorette parties, good times, stuff like that.
Yeah.
But they weren't coming to Nashville. They'd never been to Nashville, and we're hitting a whole new demographic. There are people that are like sitting in a basement somewhere that don't necessarily go out or don't necessarily have friends, but are such big Post Malone fans, and he's like, his music has saved their lives.
Yeah.
To where they now feel this need and desire, like, I need to go there. Like, I want to see it. I've never really drank alcohol, but if I do, I want to.
It's going to be a Post Malone
like, and
bar.
that's the thing is, like, that's so crazy that's the mentality, but 100%, if that does happen, that's going to be, and I don't even think it would need to be on Broadway.
It doesn't have to be on Broadway.
It doesn't need to be on Broadway.
And
that's
the thing, though, man. That's the thing, because a lot of bars only can survive if they open up on Broadway, which is crazy. And then other bars just kind of sink. And I'm not gonna name those bars, but like there's places that's open. I'm like, okay, it sounds good, but like now 5 months, 6 months, a year later, it's like, all right, it's just another bar on Broadway. But like I feel like his bar would do good. Not a lot of bars do well on Broadway, if not a big name is behind it.
100%.
But the room is limited too, though. There's not a lot of space on Broadway now.
Well, and that's what I've talked to a lot of people about too. Is like how, because his vibe is very much like, you know, very small dive bar. You know, from what I've heard, apart from the couple times that he's been to Laney's, is like he goes to Santa's Pub, he goes to Losers. Exactly. You know, it's like
it's giving Doc holidays to me.
Yeah, it's like, yo, like should he just, you know, Bottle Blonde opens and then he buys the little bar next to it, like
right, and it'll be the most packed dive bar.
And that's the thing is, but I think financially it makes the most sense. Like it would have to be a big ass bar.
Yeah.
And that's, you know, where is that?
It's kind of unfortunate though too that it has to be a big bar because it's Nashville, but that's not his brand then. So like I get back to the same thing. It's like, does it have to be on Broadway to be good? Yeah. Because you throw it in like Germantown, nobody's gonna go to pub. I mean, they will, but like it's so inconvenient. There's nowhere to park. So like, what do you do?
I feel like if it does happen, it would have to be somewhere like in correlation. I don't think it would be as far as like Printer's Alley, but I think somewhere on like a second or like a third, like somewhere relatively close enough. Yeah. Where it would be easily from Broadway, where it's like you're getting all the foot traffic still without any inconvenience.
I miss Second Avenue too, man.
Oh, dude. I mean, I barely got to enjoy Second Avenue. When I started coming down here, when I was like 21, I was living in Chicago, and I was down here probably 2 or 3 times a year. And that was when Acme was the biggest bar on Broadway.
I've never known Acme to be. I mean, I've always heard that Acme was this big thing.
It was the best. And I still remember, because I was a Titans fan. Even when I lived in Chicago, I was still a Titans fan. And me and my best friend would come down like once or twice a year for like the first game of the season. And I still will never forget like those Bud Light parties on Acme's rooftop. And then everyone is a big fandom. We'd go down, walk across the pedestrian bridge together. Like, it was sick. And now it's like, people talk about Acme. And
it's like, man. I mean, no offense to them, but like, I mean, that's what happens to fads though in Nashville. Like, if you don't keep on to the consistency of like your business and your brand, then you start losing.
It's been around for so long. Yeah. It was like before Acme, it was Wild Horse, which was on Second. Yeah. And so it's like, those were the biggest venues. And now it's like, if you don't have an artist name, it's like, are you in a bar? Like, are you in
You're
a bar?
fucked if you don't have an artist behind it.
Oh, you open a bar with awesome food and a crazy concept?
Okay, cool.
Who's the artist?
Right, exactly. Also, with us working downtown, like, so this podcast for me, like, is a good opportunity for people to come on it and like really kind of have a stance on like certain things that I feel like need to be addressed or kind of like fixed a little bit. Yeah. Us as bartenders, us as service industry people, musicians, whoever work downtown, whoever works in the industry in general, there's a lot of perks to it. Yeah, we make a lot of money. We get a chance to travel and like we have flexible schedules. But when it comes to our health and fitness and our wellness, like it's kind of like it doesn't really take care of us in that atmosphere. We work for like I think the hospitality industry is like the largest and quickest growing company in the United States. But yet we don't get offered a lot of things such as like health insurance, or like if we do get health insurance, it's like very like crazy ramifications behind it, or like we get like our tips and our taxes and stuff like that. I know we're coming up to a year where like they're saying like if you vote for this person or that person, like you get tips, tax take out your tips. How do you feel about that? Like how they take care of us as far as like, because we do a lot of on foot work, we do a lot 100%. Of like strenuous labor, but we're not offered things that take care of us in a way to where we can like sustain.
Yeah, I think so. Okay, I've worked for different companies. Like I've worked in a ton of different bars over the years, and I've worked for companies that offer health insurance, and I always think that that's kind of a great opportunity. But then you kind of look at it, and it's taking it out of your check. And us being in this industry, we've become so accustomed to, you know, the cash we make. You know, I know so many people that are still like cash under the mattress. You know, it's like they barely even have credit cards or a bank account. And so it's like doing taxes, things like that are tough. And so having health insurance just provided to you by an employer is so huge. I would say, 90% of my friends don't even have health insurance.
Yeah, 90% for sure.
Yeah, all of our friend group,
100% for sure.
Like, and that's what's so crazy is like we go to parties or we get drunk, we do dumb
Right.
shit, and we're all just like, oh, and like none of us ever even think about that. Like, ooh.
What happens if I break my leg tonight, falling down these 50 flights of steps?
I'm more concerned about ending up on Nashville Scoop than I am ending up in the
Oh my
hospital,
God.
and that's so fucked.
It is bad.
But it's like that's one of those things. Is I think health insurance, it's so important. I think the taxing thing, that's tough.
Yeah.
Where I get to some extent where, ideally for me, yes,
Yeah.
I would love to not have to pay taxes on my tipped income.
Right.
Exactly. But in this market, I'm also realistic where it's like we get paid $2.13 an hour. So it's like all of our income is tax income. But then it's like, where do you stop it?
Right.
Is it just servers? Is it just bartenders? But then, you get into the debate of what about tattoo artists? What about hairstylists? What about makeup artists? These are all people who are in this service industry, but like what differentiates their service to our service?
But we still get W-2s though. That's the difference.
Exactly.
That's the thing. If we're going to do that consistently and keep with the 213 but no benefits, we should get, was it I-9 or something like that? Like
Yeah.
we shouldn't be getting W-2s anymore. We should be
And
getting what
I-
tattoo artists get. We should be getting what independent entrepreneurs get.
100%.
We're still getting W-2s. So in return, we're not getting compensated for benefits. But if you're giving me a W-2, I need to be able to be on an income where like
At least
my
give us the
taxes are
option.
taken out or whatever. But then you get to that gray area was like, well, you want to get paid by the hour, then you stop getting paid every day. You stop. So
Yeah.
it's so many. It's just such a like rock and a hard place for us, And like being 35 and like for the better part of my 30s, I didn't have health insurance because I'm like, well, how do I budget health insurance and dental insurance and eye insurance and this and this, and then also on top of that paying $15,000+ on February when taxes come in. Like it's kind of a hard,
it's a juggling act, 100%.
For sure.
I think the biggest thing is like where I think for the service industry would benefit the most is to get a foothold in just offering.
Yeah.
Because you'd be surprised how many people would still decline it. Like I think realistically, most of the people I know that are in the service industry be like, oh, it's going to take money on my check, or it's going to be more that I have to pay at the end of the year. They'd be like, nah, don't worry about it. But if they even just have like make the attempt and say, hey, like we offer health insurance, like this is how much it is, like this is how you sign up. It's through us, and it just kind of like you have health insurance now, and it'll come out of your check. But like for certain people, like that don't necessarily get a check because your taxes just kind of eat it all up. It's just more you pay at the end of the year, but it's something that's all through the IRS. Like it's one lump sum, it's one thing you pay, it's one thing you defer, you make payments towards. I think giving the option is a start.
Right. I mean,
And it would
at
be
least I'll
huge.
have it on paper. Like I can evaluate, okay, this makes sense for me. I mean, I wear contacts and glasses. So like the biggest thing for me is like having eye insurance.
Oh yeah.
And it's like, all right, so at least give me something of something.
My
where I
glasses
can-
are real.
Oh, they really?
Yeah, people
I
always
thought they
think
were
that they're
fake.
fake. Why?
Because they're so
Everyone-
fucking big. They're like,
I love that though.
is that a style?
No, I mean it's my style.
Like, I dig it, but I really thought they were fake. for
Everyone
sure.
always thinks that they're fake, but I was like, no, like they're expensive fucking glasses. And
I mean,
was-
I believe it now, but like, I'm like, every time I see them, like that. I guess it's this look like that.
that
shit,
might
like,
be like the second most question I get asked at work.
What's the first one?
Does Lainey ever come here?
Oh my god, kill me now.
It's like
Those questions make my skin itch.
I just always tell them, I'm like, yeah, do you want me to send her a
She's
Snapchat
downstairs right
right now?
now.
Yeah, sick. I was like, she actually just left. You just missed her.
You just missed her.
Crazy.
Do you think that the industry itself right now is going to be as rewarding as it is and has been in the next 2-3 years?
I think for certain people, yeah.
What do you mean by elaborate on that?
So I think, the way that this industry booms, and like you said, it's like everyone wants to do this. It's one of the fastest growing industries.
Yeah.
And I think, there are still people like, that are like career bartenders. They love this shit. They've done it for so long. They're really good at it. They're go-getters. They know what they need to do, and they do it. And I think that this industry will completely stay lucrative for the people that want it. And I think that a lot of the people that are just doing this for fun, or they're just doing it as like a side job, or they got into it, or they went to college for a degree for something else, and then they started doing this part-time, and they're like, oh, well, I make more money doing this than I would at my career. I don't think they want it as bad, and I don't think that certain people are as driven as people that, have done this and like love this shit. Like my thing is like I've had a million opportunities to do other shit, but I'm like genuinely like people are like,
cool.
Like why, like why do you love bartending? I was like, I have fun. Like my thing is
fun.
No matter what I do, like it could be the worst fucking night ever, and I'm still going in there like looking at my coworkers, like hyping them up, like let's have fun, and they're like fuck off. And I was like,
working downtown is a lot of fun. Working in the industry in general is fun.
100%.
We just lucked out by being downtown on Broadway, but like I love this job. For me, I'm like I agree and I disagree on a lot of things as far as like the career bartender is concerned, because age just makes you you can't really stop aging
to some extent.
Yeah, exactly. But like that's what I was getting at with the whole like insurance and like retirement plan benefits like that.
This job destroys
you do
your
have
body.
people that you have people that really choose this career because this is a career, and they don't have an out. You know, like I know bartenders that are like reaching the limits of like my body can no longer do this. My mind wants to do it, but my body cannot. But they have never been offered since the beginning of time anything to make them want to stay in the industry and be able to retire off of it. As much money as we bring into this industry and how much we've made, like it's almost like a disservice to the people that work it to not set them up for some kind of outing, because this career is based on, well, first off, you don't have to have a degree.
Yeah.
You don't have to really have, it's hands-on. It's more like a trade job, honestly. You know, in my opinion, and like those are like the best kind of jobs because like the people that work on those kind of jobs have the best personalities. They know how to handle stress and all that stuff. But when you go into in deeper and you start reaching your 40s, late 40s, early 50s, where's the line stop when it comes to like I've dedicated my entire life to this industry and it's giving me nothing in return? Because I can walk out with cold hard cash.
I've gone on a ton of really cool vacations.
But my liver is failing. My head is pounding all the time.
It's the
constantly.
physicality of it, where it's like, and I mean, perfect example. It's like we have friends that are like in really really great shape, or like physically, like people on your basketball team, stuff like that, where it's like they have legitimate.
You can
back
say me,
problems.
it's fine.
No, I was gonna say like people like perfect example, Chad.
Yeah,
like,
for
Chad
sure.
has like back problems, and like I've talked to Chad where it's like he has to put on his like turtle shell.
Yeah.
Because it's, I mean, these are things where it's like if your bar doesn't have mats,
Right.
if your bar back isn't getting you ice fast enough, and you're having to scoop.
If
the
you're 6'4" like he is,
that's a real that's a legitimate thing. I've worked with like dudes that are taller. If they have bar backs that are not on top of their shit, and they're having to like constantly go to the bottom of their ice well 100 times, like people don't understand how often
you're digging your
we're
hands
doing
nice.
shit. Like
Yeah.
I've seen comments of stuff like that video with Logan where he's opened all the beers and people are like, oh, why don't you use your hands? And it's like, do you realize I forgot my bar key one time on a Saturday and my like index finger was like
bleeding.
The nail was like half back.
Right,
I was like,
it's so
you
bad.
just can't do it. Like thousands of beers.
Yeah.
But that brings back like when you were saying about like how much we do for this industry. Have you ever actually like thought about it? Like how many, like doing the math of how many years you've been in the industry, what your average ring is per shift, how many shifts you work per week? Like, do you think you've made like in sales wise, like have you made over $1 million for?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
If not way more than that.
Way more than that.
And
you
it's
think,
flabbergasting to think like I don't even have
was
health
thinking
insurance.
I was thinking about that the other day, and someone brought it up, or like they had some conversation, and in my head I was like thinking about like how much money like I've made career wise like in my lifetime doing this, and then I was like, fuck, I wonder how much money I've made for them, and then it's like not factoring costs and stuff like that, but just sales wise. I mean, especially for y'all, like. I mean, the numbers some of these bars do downtown is crazy.
It's astronomical numbers for sure.
And I talked to a lot of my friends that work at, you know, some of the busiest bars. And I mean, they'll tell me like they're record breaking nights. And I mean, they're on average ringing in, you know, 5-digit plus numbers. Yeah. And that's insane. And you're working 3-4 nights a week. I mean,
and it's just alcohol.
Yeah.
So like
100%.
I've worked at restaurants where like what one person has ringed in alcohol is the equivalent of what that building has done for food and alcohol 100%. For the whole entire day. And that one person has done that, times that by 9 bartenders. Come on.
I mean, that's
like,
crazy.
So that's what I'm getting at. Like it has to be like, I feel like platforms like this that are positively influencing
100%.
better, you know, for the future. I feel like the conversation has to be had. Like you got to take care of your people, you know, to a certain extent, because there's so many elements when it comes to like bartending, like especially for people where I'm at. Like the biggest thing I think when I first started was the whole thing where like people were there for a long time and they felt like they deserved certain situations and certain benefits. And over time, I kind of adapted that. Because at first I was like anti. I was like, fuck that. Like, I'm just as good. Like, whatever. Like, I can do whatever. And I'm also here too. And my bills matter. But then I also have to think about, I can't say that and then also say, offer me insurance, offer me this, offer me that.
Well,
when somebody's given a place since opening or like 9 or 10 years and like they're not offered anything but their schedule.
Yeah.
So I get it. You know what I mean? Like, do I agree that people should have better situations financially over the next person? No. But if you're not offering anything, as far as benefits, health, all that stuff, retirement, 401k, to an extent where it's necessary to get, then that bartender deserves that Friday, Saturday, Sunday night, because that's the only thing they have that this company may or may not be giving them.
Yeah. Well, and I think, I have some strong opinions on that.
Trust me.
So this goes back to like what you were saying as far as, this industry is booming and it is booming harder than it's ever boomed.
Mm-hmm.
And I think, because I've been in the service industry for like 15 years.
Yeah.
And so I come from a time, it's like I feel old as fuck saying that, but it's
the
like,
same age as you.
I was like, I'm 32, so it's like I come from where if you get into a bar, especially in Chicago, where it's like you basically need to sleep your way to the middle, claw your way to the top, wait for someone to die to get a night shift. Like that doesn't happen. And you don't bitch about it and you shut the fuck up and you do a good job. That's it. And then when you get your chance or someone goes on vacation, then that happens.
Yeah.
Or you learn and then another bar opens and you go there. But I think it's very much this like new day and age, and it's like younger demographics and generations that are coming in and like joining the service industry and becoming bartenders, where it's this idea of everyone gets a fucking trophy.
Yeah.
And I don't necessarily agree with it, but I don't disagree with it. Like I'm all for everything being fair, everything being the same, like everyone making money, as long as everyone's making money.
Exactly.
But I also completely spent 10 years dealing with, hey, well, you're going to get the dog shit shifts because that is what it is.
Right.
You're the new guy. Whereas now it's like people can come into these jobs and it's like, oh, well, we rotate and we're going to see. And it didn't matter how good you were. Yeah. But I do like, because I've worked in that place where it's like, I was a better bartender than certain people and I didn't get those night shifts because I was the new guy.
Yeah.
And the people that had been there for 4 or 5 years, they become lazy. They become stagnant. They become comfortable. And so I think that rotating does create a much better culture in people staying on their game. So I agree with that. Yeah. Because it's, I think the shifts should go to the people that they deserve, like that deserve them. I don't necessarily agree with rotating, but I think that if you make it slightly competitive, it makes people better. Like in no way, shape, or form, if the idea is, hey, the people that are going to get Friday, Saturday nights are going to be our best bartenders. Yeah. Either people are going to get better, try harder, or they're going to leave. And then you're going to get more people that are going to come in and they're either going to get better, try harder, or they're going to leave. And eventually you're going to get someone that's going to be better. And all that's going to do is drive the person that has those shifts to work harder or try, all it does is just create a little bit of competitiveness to make people try. But at the end of the day, it's not necessarily a competition when people's bills are on the line.
Exactly. And I also feel like it has to be competitive to reason.
Yes.
See what I'm saying? Like, bring in people, hire them, but hire them to know that they're going to be competitive. Don't just hire them to fill bodies in a situation. You know what I mean? So like for me,
also, how do you gauge that? Like, how do you gauge what is better?
Well, you try them out. You audition them. So right now we're in the process of hiring people, not where I'm at, just like in general. We're in the process of hiring people just to fill positions and then hope for the best, instead of giving them a 2 or 3 week or a month chance, see if they work out.
Do like a
throw
stage.
them in exactly. And I think that's like going out the window. And when we started in the industry in our age group, what our work ethic is versus now is totally different. So like, you can hire a Zach and a David to compete with those people that's been there for forever and actually have a standing chance. Now you're just hiring people just to have them in the building. So like, exactly, it piss people off, and then rotate schedules for absolutely no reason. There's no rhyme or reason for it. And it just kind of like, it creates a bad environment. Cause like when I first started working downtown, And even still to this day, like I love it. Like I think that my problems are very first world problems. And I think that like I'm so blessed and honored to be in the situations and be involved in the community that I'm involved in.
Yeah.
But it comes to a certain extent where you have to like actually put your foot down on certain situations. And I don't want to go into detail or I don't want to go into any parameters about it, but like there's no way that a bartender or server or a busser SA should ever make astronomically less than the person making the highest.
Yeah.
In the same position. So for instance, like me and you work together and you're pulling in $6,000 to $7,000 a week or every 2 weeks. I'm coming in and I'm pulling not even half of that. And we have the same job description. Yeah. There should never be that situation. And so we're getting to a point where it gets like that. Mm-hmm. And so like the ideology behind working at a bar deteriorates because that person who just came in doesn't think he has a chance or she has a chance. And then, oh, I know this person, so like it got me in, so now I'm making the same amount of money as that person's been there for 15 years. That drives me crazy. And so like that's why I'm asking, like, do you think the industry would be how it is and how it was in the future? I don't think so.
See, I don't think so either, because I think a lot of times, especially Nashville's a perfect example.
Yeah.
Is, there was never an issue between daytime or nighttime. Mm-hmm. Certain bars, days were almost better than nights. Yeah. And so it's like, I think moving forward, a lot of bars that I've worked at and a lot of bars that I have friends that work at, you really notice this, if you don't have Friday night or Saturday night, it's like, it's a tough week. It's like you could have 5 shifts, but if you don't have one of those 2,
you're fucked.
Yeah. And that's tough because
it's very tough.
There's only so many shifts to give, depending.
True.
You look at some of these bars where it's like, people like Morgan's is massive. Mm-hmm. But it's small. Like each floor is small. A lot of floors, but each floor is small. But like those bars don't need more than 2 or 3 bartenders. Maybe 4. But it's like that's tough when people are like, yeah, it's such a big building. But when you really break it down, like the way we see it, how many bodies is on a PM shift?
Exactly. Yeah.
Like that's tough.
It's a tough.
When you've got a staff of like 70 bartenders and you only need 15.
Well, and also to be fair, I'm gonna play devil's advocate a little bit.
Oh, 100%.
Like I understand the situations because like we only have limited availability or limited space, whatever, for our bars. Especially depending on like how many people can actually fit in a bar.
Yeah.
But we go out of town a lot, and we like to fuck off a lot. We like to call off. We like to take our leave, and it puts the manager in it, because I used to manage too before I came to downtown. Same. I was managing for like 7-8 years at a company, and it was great, and I got to see both sides of it. So like that's why I think we're easier to manage, because like we understand it a little bit.
1,000%.
But yeah, like we do a lot of things. Like I'm going out of town next week for 2 weeks, so you have to fill in my position for 2 weeks. So like I get where they come from, but also, still, it's just like a stick situation for me. I feel like,
and that kind of goes back to like the benefits thing, where it's like we don't necessarily have benefits, but we have the most flexible schedule in the world. Where it's like, let's say you didn't even request off, but you got scheduled the next 2 weeks. How easy would it be to get all those shifts covered for 2 weeks?
Depending on my schedule, very easy.
Yeah, that's like and no problem. And so
we're building a case right now. We can't give them any evidence.
A little bit of both. We see both sides.
Right, exactly. But like that's what I'm saying. I was like, we're growing so heavily in Nashville. I like it actually, because it brings people in town. It brings people to want to work in our industry. And I've met some of the greatest people in my entire life.
100%.
Just working downtown. Like,
and I've just been able to do cool shit.
Yeah, for sure. I'm going to Europe in like 4 days.
Red Bull took me to New York. Like that, like stuff that we're able to do. Like this is all because of the industry. Like the friends we meet is probably the number one. Like they become your family more than your family.
Yeah.
And then it's just like all of the cool experiences.
So explain to me, especially experience-wise, like explain to me like this whole drinking with Zac thing. Like I know you're one of I think you're one of the most popular bartenders on Broadway, to be honest.
Thank you.
And that's just me saying that from outside looking in. Now I'm getting to know you like personally. I still feel like that way, because I feel like your personality just really matches what we need. I've talked about it a lot of times on some other podcasts. Like it's us who keeps people coming in. It's
1,000%.
us. The personality. We're in a tourist area. It's important for us to like give people a good time. Give me some examples like your crazy life, like in Nashville as a bartender, like just living on cloud nine at all times.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's been nuts. The Drinks with Zach thing. I mean, it started as I was doing corporate marketing for liquor brands.
Yeah.
And we all needed a social media for our stuff. So I came up with Drinks with Zach, which now is, half the people that still do that job are Drinks with Jessica, Drinks with all these things. So it's like, that's cool. But when I went back to bartending after COVID, I was like, okay, cool. Now it's like a lifestyle thing where it is, Drinks with Zach. Like, I'm a bartender. You're going to come, you're going to get Drinks with Zach. And now it's like blown up to where a lot of people know who I am. A lot of people come in.
Right.
I've had a lot of shifts where like people will come in and they'll just be like, oh my God, like, I'm a fan. And I'm like, I'm just a guy.
I'm just
like,
a guy up here
I'm
right
literally
now.
a bartender. Like, do you want to keep it open or closed?
Right. But like that's a good thing about like having things that you don't really intentionally want it to like be great. Like I feel like certain things just happen on their own. Did you expect that like kind of like reciprocation from like?
No, my thing is at the end of the day, it's like all I've ever tried to be, especially as a bartender, is genuine and just be good to people. And that has really resonated with so many people. That's why so many people gravitate towards me. I always tell people, with that like Nashville scene thing where it was like Nashville's best bartender, to be nominated for that. Like that was cool. Like, but I'm hands down, and I will stand on a hill and say this till I die, I'm definitely not the best bartender in Nashville. I'm not even close to the top. But I will say I'm one of the most valuable because I think that I add a certain level of, just light to a room. And I think that I help motivate the people around me and just give that spark of, fun. And anytime I'm bartending, I'm trying to just create a really memorable experience for guests. I want to create an experience, but I also want to create an experience for coworkers.
Yeah, for sure.
It's very seldom you'll meet someone that's worked with me that hasn't had at least one or two really funny stories or inside jokes or something. People love to work with me, and I love to work, with people and have a good time.
Yeah, I like your energy for sure. I've always heard good things about you on, in Broadway and like around Nashville. And I love how you just gave homage to like the bartenders who aren't here, who are some of the greatest.
Oh,
I know
1000%.
a lot of them. We know a lot of them.
100%.
We've lost some good ones to other companies like that. And I think it's very humbling that you say that because like that gives them the opportunity to be able to be like, yeah, he appreciates us.
Oh, all day long. And I've said that to everybody is, like my best friend Min is probably one of the best bartenders I've ever worked with. And she's super fast. Like she can crush a service well any day of the week. And we were always such an amazing team because you look at, I take care of the bar top, she takes care of the tickets, and we just crush it and we just make money. And we create experiences for people and we have fun. And, that dynamic always works where it's like, I'm definitely not the fastest bartender ever. I'm fast enough. Yeah. Like I can work downtown, I'm a good bartender. But what my big thing is like, I'm great with people. And I love talking to people. I love talking to guests. I love, getting that extra bit of money, right? Where it's like people are like, oh, that guy didn't tip, and I'm like, okay, cool, bet. Like, right. Especially on like a busy Saturday when someone's like, oh yeah, those guys don't tip, and I'm like,
so what?
Watch. And then all of a sudden I come back with like a 20, and they're like, what? Right. I was like, I don't know. I told them.
I've actually had that before too, like, because I really feel like it's just the energy, man. Like, if I'm going like out of town, I'm going to a place where I know it's like supposed to be like very poppin', like just tourist galore, and I get into a building and like my first impression of a place is the staff. That's bad. Like. Or good.
I saw some podcast the other day, and it was like the perfect quote where he was saying, you could go to the nicest, coolest bar in the entire world, and if the bartender sucks, you'll never go back. But you can go to the shittiest dive bar in the entire world, and if the bartender's badass, you're going back. Right. And I was like,
very true.
Facts.
Because I know exactly where I'm at. About 2:30 in the morning before everything closes. I'm going right across the street over to Doc's. I'm like, I'm going over there because they're gonna still have the same personality they did when they first opened. And that's the thing about it. Like, and I think there's places like that who needs to keep resonating around town because like the Laylas and the Roberts, because we don't have a lot of those places anymore. Like we just kind of get washed up in like the sauce, and it becomes so competitive that we forget that we're here. We're having a good time at work. We're having a good time in an area where people are actually flying all over the world to come see.
Yeah.
And it just kind of sucks sometimes that we get caught up in the nature of like the business, you know what I mean? So that's why I feel like some people need to be taken care of more than others
100%.
in a certain setting because of the fact that they have given so much to this community.
Well, and that's the thing too, is you meet a lot of people, like especially like in the bars that we're at, is you meet a lot of people where this is their first service job, or Nashville is their first dipping their toes in the industry, whether they, you know, work somewhere else and then ended up at a bigger bar. You know, you've never worked in another market where it's like, you know, even Chicago's a much bigger market, and like they do very well, but they don't do what we do. Like they don't make the same amount of money. But then you'll meet people here that have worked, you know, at a Twin Peaks in Oklahoma or something like that, where it's like the value to them means so much more. But it's like, I don't want to say spoiled, but like to some extent, like the money we make, if you have not worked in another market, or if you have never, you know, worked at a Buffalo Wild Wings, like you don't understand that like we make a really good amount of money.
For sure.
And so it's like, to be pissed off all the time or like upset, like it doesn't make sense. Like just enjoy it for what it is. Like we still do really well. Even if this summer was kind of a flop in comparison to others, like it's still good. Like it is still good.
It is still good. I mean, it was just raising the question, you know.
Oh no, 100%.
Like I mean, people have different opinions and biases about how this summer has went versus other summers, and the last summer versus the last summer. It just kind of raises the question, raises the eyebrow a little bit.
Sucks too.
You think so?
Well, I think it was hot as fuck.
It was so hot this summer. Yeah.
It was so hot this summer, and so it's like I think a lot of like the rooftops suffered more than they would have in past summer, because people are not like, they're just not wanting to be in the heat. They're not. I know I've worked shifts for certain bars where it's like, and like I think Barstool's really good because it is kind of enclosed. It's kind of half outside, half inside. But some of these like true rooftops, like
no heading, no
heading. Like you have umbrellas that are like
that may be out there,
maybe up, maybe not. But it's like that's a hard sell. Like if I'm going out day drinking and it's like the last thing I want is to be sweating. Like I hate.
Very true.
And especially if you're drinking, you're sweating even more, and it's like that's tough. Like it was really hot this year.
Yeah, it sucks too because like we have all these events in the summer too, like CMAs, stuff like that. Well, CMA Fest, and like everybody's outside. I'm like, why in the fucking hell will we have the biggest influx of people having to be outside in 100+ degree weather and like all these outside vendors? I feel like sometimes those are like a hindrance for like us inside the building. It's like, yeah, everybody's here to enjoy CMAs
Do they
or
always
whatever.
have vendors on the street too?
As much as I've known it, I'm not very sure. I've only been downtown for like 4 or 5 years, but
I've always wondered how that works because people, I mean, I get asked that every day. Like, oh, can I bring my drink with me? And I'm like, no. But then they have an event and it's like.
Well, I mean, also, like, I think when I looked it up once before, you can. So a lot of these places can't say, yeah, walk out with the drinks that our names are on the cups. But like, I think that lawfully, I think I looked it up, you can have a plastic cup or a canned beer.
Because
on the street.
Like, think about how easy that would be to have like a beer tub at the front door of these bars to be like, hey, take one for the road.
Very true, yeah.
You would sell so much.
But the vendors have to have license too, though. So like, I feel like as a like raw dog tourist, you can like walk down the streets with a plastic cup or it can't be glass or anything like that. I'm pretty sure. The last time I checked, don't quote me on that though.
Well, someone was saying because it's open container in cars is fine, and
in the passenger seat.
In the passenger seat, yeah, like you can't drive and drink.
But, I mean,
but they were like, wait, so I can have my beer in the car, but as soon as I get out of the car, I can't have it. And I was like,
right.
Yeah, it's kind of weird.
It's very weird, but I'm pretty sure, yeah, you can like have a plastic cup, whatever. But like, also like, I've never really, it's not been an issue because I feel like we usually block the roads from like, 9 to whatever. Yeah. And then there's cops galore. So like if you're acting an ass and you'll quickly get, in trouble or arrested.
Nashville scoop.
But speaking of a scoop, man, I was talking to, I think Zach last week about about the scoop and stuff. And we didn't really get into it because like I kind of teeter-tatter over those kind of conversations because like I don't know enough about it. But like for me, I think it's kind of tacky, to be honest.
A little bit. It's like one of those things. It's like you can't stop watch. Like you can't stop looking at it. But yeah, no, 100%.
It's very addicting to look at.
I've like heard some horror stories where like they'll make a story and it's not 100% the same as like what actually went down.
Yeah.
But then again, it's all hearsay. It's all hearsay anyway. But That's probably my biggest fear. Someone asked me my biggest fear the other day, and I was like,
It's being on Scoop.
oh, 100%.
And you know what? How we live our lives is very possible.
I'm blessed to have not ended up there.
Thank God.
yet.
Imagine me, black man, blonde hair, gets arrested for indecent exposure on Broadway. He works at so and so's bar. He's 20.
And they tag
Right.
the bar. They tag the bar every
He's
time.
28 years old. He was wearing blue jeans and a black shirt. Like, dude, my whole bio. Come on. Like, it comes to a certain extent where like that has to be like, what's it called? Like when you get like you say too many like personal things about somebody. Like, what's the word for it? But it has to be some kind of scum kind of shit. I'm like, how is that like legally possible for somebody to just like broadcast somebody's entire life?
They'll tag you. They'll tag the bar.
Your mom.
Yeah,
like, I'm like, dude, what the hell, man?
My mom would jump in those comments so fast and start chirping. Oh, 100%.
Yeah, I just think it's kind of tech. I wanted to go away. I don't think it's a good thing for Nashville at all because it's not used for good. Like that because it's a big platform
100%.
and it's not using its powers for good for by no means, in my opinion. I've never once saw any article that said we've saved somebody's life because of the information we've given the internet. No, it's just trash TV basically.
I love trash TV.
I do too, but like not if I'm almost gonna be on it like every weekend.
Have you ever watched Below Deck?
I love Below the Deck.
So I've never watched it until like 3 days ago, and I binged watched an entire season in one day.
It's really good.
I was obsessed. I was maybe on like episode 7. I started like Googling like, how do I apply?
Dude, yes.
I would love to work on a cruise ship.
Dude, if this podcast pops off and like I'm getting offered to like be on Traders or something like that, I'm getting on the show.
100%. I genuinely, so I've been a super fan of Big Brother since I was like 13. It was me and my Grams thing. We'd watch it every week.
Yeah.
Every episode. Like that was end all be all. And I've jokingly said like that would be the only reality TV I would ever go on. And one of the girls that was like on The Bachelor, she's like, oh, like let me see if I can text people. And I was like, if I go on Big Brother, that would be the
game changing.
That would be the coolest thing. And I honestly think I would do really well.
Dude, you're gonna yes you will. I mean, are you kidding me?
I think especially like Big Brother, like Survivor, that's a little tough, man. I don't know. I living in sand, I don't know. Wouldn't love that. But like
Naked and Afraid.
Yeah, you know, Naked and Afraid. I don't know. I'm naked, you're afraid. I don't know. This is weird. But it's like I think something like Big Brother. I think the social game aspect. I think I would do really, really well. And I think the competitions. I know enough about the game.
Yeah.
I would genuinely. I would love that opportunity, and we'll see.
It's no different from working at a bar, to be honest. We kind of play Survivor every fucking day at work.
Literally.
So I love it. What are you doing now as far as so I know you have some projects going on outside of bartending.
Yeah.
Do you want to like go into detail like what's going on with some of the things?
Yeah, definitely. So a lot of people know that I was doing the food thing. I did it for probably like 5 or 6 months.
Yeah.
And it did really, really well. It just kind of got to the point when I started at my current job. My schedule was kind of all over the place. I kind of was, getting my footing, figuring stuff out. And it was also kind of peak summer. So I decided to take my foot off the gas, kind of took a break with it. And I know so many people still want the food, and I get texts weekly like, hey, when are you going to do food again? And it will come back. I'll absolutely start doing it again. I mean, I had almost 1,700 meals made.
Oh, wow.
Like it was.
So you cook
as
well.
So Eats with Zac was a thing, and it did really well. But I just wanted to enjoy summer. I didn't want to get burnt out. That was the thing is I was getting so many meals per week to where if I didn't have those set days off where, I work 4 on, 3 off or whatever the case may be. If I didn't have like 2 consecutive days off, it was too difficult to try and take all the orders, buy all the groceries, cook all the food, and then distribute or have people pick it up. And it was chaotic, and it was just causing way too much anxiety for me.
Was it a solo thing? You were doing it by yourself?
100%.
Or?
Yeah.
So do you have any partnerships going on? Or
So my thing right now is I'm taking a step away from my own food thing, and I'm putting a lot of my chips into one of my best friend's barrels, Sanji. And so he is going to be taking over the kitchen for the Asbury when it opens.
Okay.
So it's just to the right of Tin Roof Demumbrian, and it is going to be sick.
I think so too. I've seen some little demos of like his food, and like it's so refreshing to see people doing stuff outside the industry. I think it's very important to have like a side hustle to where it becomes like your passion and it becomes like your retirement plan.
100%.
And I think that he's going to do phenomenal. I did not know in a million years that goofy motherfucker can cook. And I keep seeing all these like pictures and videos on Instagram and Facebook. I'm like, man, I can eat it through the phone.
So from what I know, I mean, you definitely should get him on the pod. From what I've heard, it all started. So two of my closest friends are Sanji and our buddy Carson. And when they were both barbacks together, Carson and Sanji used to joke, and Sanji loves to cook.
Yeah.
And you never like expect it because he's just like this huge, like he's like 6'5",
Yeah.
covered in tattoos, like just jack dude. And you're like, wait, you're a big softie? Like
right.
he is the nicest, most genuine dude in the world, and he loves to cook, and he's such a good cook. And I guess Carson told him, he's like, man, you should get a food truck. And sure enough, like 4 years down the road, Sanji buys a food truck. It does really well. You know, he was at volleyball, and, you know, everyone got a chance to try his food. And because of the food truck, he ended up getting the opportunity to kind of go into business with a bar that was already opening up, and he was going to essentially take over the kitchen, and it would be his thing inside their thing. And it's an amazing opportunity for him. And, you know, obviously this is his thing 100%, but, you know, I do have a certain level of, you know, experience and popularity that I think, you know, helps get feet in the door. And, you know, any way that I can help him is kind of what I would love to do. And then on the side, me and him are kind of starting our own catering thing, which has been really kind of cool because we're kind of learning as we go. But we do have a couple really great opportunities that we're going to showcase kind of what we can do. And, you know, we meet and have lunch probably at least once or twice a week, and we talk almost every day. And so food wise, I would say most things in the future, you're going to see a lot of us together. And, you know, regardless of what my role may be, you know, however big or small, I definitely am, you know, going to be happy to be a part of everything that he's doing with the Asbury and stuff like that.
That sounds awesome too. And there's no big or small, like it's all going to an end game, you know.
100%. And it's supporting your friends
for sure. Yeah.
And, you know, it's such a cool concept, and everything that I've seen and everything that they're doing. And, you know, shout out to Eli, Elliot's going to be on the entire front of the house, and it's going to be sick. And it's right next to Tin Roof Demumbrian, so it's
that's gonna be awesome.
You already have all of that foot traffic of we're going there already.
So yeah,
let's go get some food, and then
let's go party.
Go get some White Walkers.
Exactly. And then also, like, I think that area too is like developing again too. I feel like a lot of places over there kind of like have some vacancies and emptiness. And I think with the clout that we get from,
I heard it's all getting torn down.
Yeah, because you can't even park on the side of the street anymore. Like it's all like kind of like
it's like
taped off
2 doors. Because I was talking to someone the other day, because Live Oak I thought added a second floor, and I was like, dude, that's crazy. Live Oak added a second floor, but I thought they're tearing it down. Right? Like, no, it's Dog House.
I think it's Dog House. Yeah,
Dog House is the one there. Dogwood was the other one.
Yeah.
So they bought Dog House, and it's already Live Oak with a second floor, and it's kind of sick.
Wow.
So apparently that's what it looked like. I don't know.
Just give us better parking.
Anytime I'm on Demumbrian, there's a good chance my blood alcohol level is a little bit higher than it probably should be.
For sure. Because like that's like the aftermath of Broadway. It's like, 100%. we'll go to Demumbrian right now. But like I think it's good for like us to like have these projects that are making us be in the setting to where we can continuously like grow in the industry, but like have our own thing. This podcast hopefully will do the same thing as far as like the food truck stuff you guys have going on right now as well. And then when we retire, we're still on Broadway. We just own it, you know. Like I feel like it's 100%. Our turn, you know. Like it's our turn to get back.
That's one thing in Chicago that happens a lot is you'll become someone that's like an entity that's well known and, you know, does a great job in the industry, and you'll have these companies or these bigger groups that reach out that they want you to essentially run their new concept.
Yeah.
And it'll be like a sweat equity where it's like, hey, you're not necessarily putting money in, but we're going to make you a percentage partner, and you have sweat in the game, and you're going to run it. You're maybe take like a little bit less than you would as a GM or whatever, because you're a partner and like you're in it. And that's kind of like becomes an end game. And that's something that's really not common in Nashville, but in Chicago, it's happens a lot. I think it's because there's just so many bigger groups that need
for
that.
Sure.
But I would love for, you know, especially some of these regulars, some of these people, you know, we have a lot of friends that like have a lot of money and are at these bars all the time. Like, why not get all of them together? You know, you get 4 or 5 of our like Nashville socialite friends to all throw their money in a hat to open a bar that would just become like an industry badass bar and like make people partners in it. Like that would be the next move.
For sure. And get the right bartenders, get the right personnel, like, and we're killing the game.
100%.
Why not spend it with us instead of spending it with
Well,
somebody else?
and that's the thing, and that kind of like that goes back to a lot of these bars, and like I've said, is my value lies in you have a lot of bartenders downtown that have this TikTok fame, or you have bartenders that have been on reality TV, and like sure, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, when tourists are in town, like they're going out of their way to go find that bartender, and they want to see that bartender, but to like an employer standpoint, like they don't give a shit because they already have a line out the door.
Right.
I'm someone who people Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, if I get scheduled, like they're coming to see because they're people that live here and they're people that love to come hang out. Like the industry is going to come see me wherever I go.
Yeah. And
like that's one thing is like the loyalty and love that the industry has shown me is something I'm forever grateful for.
For sure. And that's the power that people like you have. Because like I said to you earlier before we start filming, is that like I just knew of you, and then like I just started to gravitate towards that energy. And then now I'm winding up at so-and-so's bar while he's working on Monday morning. And I'm like on the rooftop when we were at Barstool, I was on the rooftop just like chilling. Didn't even know you for real. Just like, everybody's here for Zac, so I guess I'm here for Zac too. Why not? And like that's just the power, that's just the luxury that we have.
Yeah.
Just being good people, and then also like sharing that with like our friends. And like when you have friends in town, you go see him, and
100%.
like I love it, man. I really appreciate everything you're doing. So what's the next step? Like, so we're doing the food stuff with Sanji.
Yeah, so food stuff is, food's always going to be a part of my life. I love, I'm super passionate about food. I went to culinary school. And so it's like, for me, food's always going to be a part of my life in some aspect. Bartending, I still love it.
Mm-hmm.
I'll have these little bits where I get burnt out. We all do.
Yeah.
And I think, I'm in a position now where a vacation here and there, I just took a week off, went to Destin. Like that was such a good mental reset.
Yeah.
And so it's like, I'm going to keep doing it. I'm going to keep bartending, keep having fun. I think I just kind of, continue to grow my brand organically. A lot of people always ask like, why don't you make TikToks? Why don't you make, reels of
You'd be good at TikTok, I feel like.
But my thing is like, I love like the organicness of it. Cause it's like, as cool as it is to, like be drinks with Zac, like it's extremely overwhelming.
Yeah.
And it definitely like it fucks with my mental health a lot. It's so hard to like become, an entity or play a character, and you're at work or you work a double and you're giving everything you have, or you're out drinking with friends and you feel like you have to be this role where it's like, every single thing that I have, I give and energy. And then it's like at the end of the day, like I get home and I'm sitting there and I'm like, I have nothing left for me.
Yeah.
And the amount of times it's like, I'm sitting in a dark room and I'm just like, fuck, like what does it all like none of it matters. And
you're
like
exhausting all
that
energy.
sucks. And so it's like, to some extent, like I'm going to keep bartending as long as mentally and, physically I can do it and have fun. And, my big thing is just be happy. You know, my next step is, just keep being happy and, keep going on trips. I don't necessarily know if I'm going to be in Nashville forever.
Yeah.
I do love this city. I'm terrified about like, once the stadium opens, like that's going to be, 40 more bars. Like,
for sure.
Like, what are we going to do? It's not going to be the same. Cost of living's only going to go up, but we're going to progressively make less and less unless, certain things happen or, bars open and things change.
Yeah. Or we unionize? Just kidding.
That would be sick.
You think so?
To some extent, I have friends in Vegas that are like have talked about it, and I think there's upsides and downsides to anything.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, here in Nashville, I feel like unionizing would be beneficial to like, say the entry level people because it secures them. But for people who just already been here, it's like that's kind of a kick in the balls. You think? Yeah. So like I don't know. But yeah, I do agree.
We would get health insurance.
We would get health insurance, and I would not worry about dying at the age of 45.
We're all getting time for glasses.
Very much, man. Very much. Because for real, we need it, man. Like I just feel like, dude, like we just wear and tear, man. Like you said, like I have nothing else to give outside of work. Like I just put on this big blanket of happiness and like just fake it till I make it type shit. Mm-hmm. Once I get off work, I try to, digress and like maybe have a drink or two. My best days are Sundays because usually I'm always off on Mondays, and I'll get off work and I'll just go drink somewhere by myself, but like it's exhausting to like always have to put on like this character. 100%. and then we work in very strenuous places, not just because it's busy, because like it's a mind fuck too. We're always have to be on our feet and are conscious about how we're doing, how we're coming off.
Every guest is different.
Exactly.
it's so hot and cold. It's like you're in a relationship with a bipolar person.
Exactly. Yeah.
Because it's no joke. Like you'll have a guest that's the sweetest person in the world. 2 minutes later, you'll have a guest that's an asshole.
Right. And you have to balance both out.
And you have to balance both out, and you have to be the same guy no matter
Yeah.
what. And like that's one of those things. It's so tough, and it's just so like mentally draining.
Yeah.
And it's, you know, especially for someone like me, where it's like when I'm on my game, like I perform at such a high level where it's like it affects the whole room. That if I even have like an okay day, or I mean, like way worse is like a bad day, where it's like, hey, like I just don't want to be here. Not just here, but like here.
Oh no!
Like I'm like, this is not a good day. But it's like people are so used to this that you set that bar so high, like it affects the whole room. Like I've had days where it's like I go into work and I'm just like not having a great day. Like it's not that bad, but because of, you know, where I normally am, people are everyone, and then it just makes it worse because it's like, what's wrong?
Yeah, you gotta force the issue. Yeah,
like, nothing's fucking wrong.
I've gone to pre-shift before, and I've literally just been like, I don't want to fucking do this, because like day shift and night shift are so completely opposite.
Oh yeah.
And so like the energy level is different, because like in some of these busier bars, like you'll go into a pre-shift, and like the night shift you'll go into it and like nobody really talks. And it's like a dead awkward silence. I'm like, is everybody okay? Like, and I bring my bubbly gay ass and like, hey guys, and like nobody says anything, everybody's on their phones, and then we do our little thing, and then we spread out like ants and go to our respective bars. And then after the shift, everybody's like, you know, talking. I'm like, well, what the fuck was that when I first got here? You know, post like the morning, I feel like it's just like more kind of like your bubbly scene. Like I feel like, I don't know, it's very night and day sometimes, and that's stressful too for me. And I'm like, I have to be on my game. I have to have this big personality to like address the crowd that I have, and then my coworkers may or may not be in good moods either. And I'm like, well, damn, this is kind of like it's like it's the whole entire shift is a mind fuck.
There's nothing I hate more than like being in a great mood and working on a bar with one other person and they're in a shit mood. Because like I'm someone that thrives on that banter, like mid shift. Like I need to be able to like have a funny interaction with a guest and like come tell you about it.
Right, exactly.
And like if we can't like vibe off each other and just kind of like create that flow and like do the dance, it just like makes the shift so miserable.
It feels like working.
It's just, yeah.
And but we're not at work though. Like,
yeah,
I feel like in my mind, like we work downtown, we're not working.
Yeah.
We're hanging out at work. Like
1000%.
it should be like that. And I don't want to feel like I'm a robot. Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, man, I had a blast today.
100%.
I'm glad you was able to come on and be able to like share some stories and and share like the experience of Broadway. This podcast is for that. Like I challenge people to come on and just kind of like give a better perspective and a different perspective of like their experiences
100%.
in Nashville. And I'm really grateful. I think you're gonna continuously do good things.
I'm gonna try my best.
And whenever you're doing something with like the food stuff, please let us know so we can like
100%.
plug and play it on our social medias as well.
No, we would love to.
But I had a blast, man. I really appreciate it.
It was such a pleasure. Thank you for having me. Honestly.
Anytime. Thanks, man.
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah.
This is the life we choose. Life we choose. And honestly, I wouldn't want it